Let's do Ultramarines, the Squidmar way in 10 minutes or less per miniature. Let's do this. Hey everyone and welcome to Squidly Bits, our second channel packed with painting tutorials and tips better than anywhere else on the internet. Okay, we all know it, you have an Ultramarine army at home. Maybe it's not built, maybe it's already painted, but it looks like shit, or it's not finished yet because your painting technique makes it take hours per mini to make a decent looking miniature. But you want to be able to paint this army in 10 minutes or less per miniature, so you can just burn through this army in a couple of minutes. The best thing is you don't need a ton of colors, and even better yet, they're all part of the Squidmar Essential paint sets. Let's start with the first step. So we start with a black primed miniature. All good so far. We add dark sea blue to an airbrush and cover the entire miniature with this color. This is such a simple step where the airbrush saves you about 30 minutes per miniature using an airbrush as opposed to a regular paintbrush. I've said it before and I'll say it again, you can use any airbrush for this. A $10 airbrush is better than no airbrush. If you don't have a friend with a compressor, buy an airbrush kit with a built-in compressor. Just get it done. Once we have the first layer down, it's time for blue-green. I thin down the paint with thinner about 50-50 and spray this deliberately on each area. Caught up in these talks, circling my head top. Should have been more cautious. Now I got what I want. It is important to be soft with your trigger to create smooth transitions when doing this, and don't overspray it too hard. Create the highlights by spraying only from above. Personally, for this step, I use the Squidmar Evolution airbrush, and I do that for most of my army paint jobs. But as I said, any airbrush is better than no airbrush, so it's better to grab a cheap one if you don't have the budget of getting a more expensive one. Let's start with the metals. For all the gold parts we only need two colors, tinny tin to cover all the areas, and once we've base coated them with that, we go in with glorious gold with an edge highlight on the most top raised edges. And be a bit selective on the gold metal parts. It's important to leave a majority of the areas with tinny tin and only act as a reflective highlight on it. Say maybe 20-30% of the gold areas. And the beautiful thing is I add this color with a layer consistency, so I only need to add one coat, I don't need to thin it down and blend it, and it's still gonna look amazing. We start with the colored gunmetal and painting the scope, the magazine, the belt buckle and the muzzle of the weapon. With the base down, we just add a thin highlight on the most raised edges on all of these areas with the color silver. And boom, we don't need any washes. It looks great just as is. No more extra steps with washes. You're good with this. The quality of these metal colors just make my life so easy. If you have a massive army of just Ultramarines intercessors, you could call the armor done at this step, and it looks great. However, with 2 or 3 more minutes work, we can add a little bit of a punchy highlight to some of the areas just to make the mini pop a little bit more. I add blue, green and then ivory to our wet palette. First adding a highlight with just blue, green on the kneecap, on the shoulders, the armor, around the face on the armor, and on every surface where you want the armor to feel a bit more reflective. And in this case, I've got a helmetless dude, but if you've got a helmet on, it's important to draw a little bit extra focus to the helmet, so make sure that you highlight that. Once the first coat is down, we add a little bit of ivory to the blue-green and add a second highlight to the same surface, but this time on a slightly smaller area than previously, and focus it on the top areas on all of these surfaces. For me, I put the main focus on the shoulder pads, the kneecaps, and around the face area. We now want to block off all of the black parts where we've had a little bit of blue overspray. This might be on the legs, on the back, or on the weapon. And with that, the miniatures should be done. These minis literally take me between 5 and 10 minutes, depending on if I paint the mini alone or if I have an assembly line process for it. The biggest time sink here is just to clean the airbrush between every step when you change the color. And of course adding the paints to the palette. So the more you do, the less time each mini is gonna take. In my opinion, it really has that Ultramarines, the Squidmar way look, but it still has a little bit of grimness to it, with the gold being this dark reflective gold. As I've already mentioned in this video, the airbrush and all the paints used in this video can be found on our website as part of our essential sets. If you want to get these videos a week early, make sure to go follow us on our Patreon and maybe join our Discord community while you're at it. If you learned something from this video, don't forget to smash like, because otherwise I won't make another video for you. And you don't want that. Smash like. Have a good day, everyone. Peace out.